friends of Palestine, thank you for coming out again and again. This is not just a demonstration. This is not just a protest. This is a people's movement for justice. This is a people's movement for accountability. And you are that movement. And you are here to defend Palestine, but also to celebrate your humanity, your values, your determination to end the injustice. Do not let the genocide bigots deter you. Do not let the pro-apartheid thugs intimidate you. They may well be organized, but the truth is, it is them who are panicking. That's why they are desperate to silence you, because they know your power. They know your numbers. They know the power of your values. They know the power of your movement. They know the power of your voice. Raise your voice. Raise a cry. Raise your flag. The Palestine flag. Raise it with pride. Raise it with love. Raise it with unity. And how could you not be so many? How could you not be growing larger, louder, and more determined? You give us light. Each and every one of you here, and the millions, the hundreds of millions worldwide, give us hope in this despair. Give us light in such darkness. You are a source of hope for the Palestinians everywhere. Because of you, Palestinians do not feel alone. They are not alone. Are they alone? Are they alone? Are you with them? Are you with them? And not only for the Palestinian people. You are here. You are everywhere for the world, for our humanity. Because no one of you should make the mistake. We are all of us are facing our darkest days. You see clearly what is happening. 120 days of genocide, 120 days of mass displacement, 120 days of disease, 120 days of international inaction and complicity. It's been 120 days, and it's been 75 years of oppression, of ethnic cleansing, of suppression, of negation, of supremacy, of racism, of hatred. And you face all that with love, with values, with determination. For 4 months, my friends, this country, this very country, and the US and other countries have been standing silent, while the genocide is being committed. Countries, governments that claim they respect human rights values. Countries, governments that they claim they respect the rule of law. For 4 months, these countries, your country, have remained silent. Why won't they call for an immediate ceasefire? Why don't they call for an immediate ceasefire after tens of thousands killed after tens of thousands wounded, after the creation of 19,000 orphans. Let that sink in. 19,000 orphans. The wholesale destruction of an entire territory, an entire health system destroyed, an entire education system wiped out, the use of starvation, the use of famine and disease as weapons of war. Why? Why governments are silent? Why are they complicit? But they will still, these governments will suspend the funding from UNRWA, from the United Nations Refugee Agency. They will suspend their funding from the main distributor of humanitarian aid to 2.3 million people suffering hunger, thirst, homelessness and disease in Gaza, and millions in the West Bank, in the refugee camps in the region. This is not mere complicity. This is an active participation in Israel's strategy of collective punishment and making Gaza, making Palestine unlivable. We reject that. Do you reject it? Do you? And we hear calls for the recognition of the state of Palestine. What are they waiting for? What are they waiting for? After 106 years of the Balfour Declaration, what are they waiting for? Recognize now. It is our birthright, and it is a British historical, moral, legal, political responsibility. And sanction illegalities, ban all settlers, ban all settlement products, ban arms trade, do not send arms to genocidal Israel. This is not a demand. This is a legal responsibility upon all governments, including the UK government. Action! Action, not words! We had enough of words! We need actions! Actions that start with an immediate and permanent ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! South Africa, you know what? Give South Africa that applause! That applause! Yes! It has done what all responsible countries should do. And now Israel is officially on trial for genocide. The most heinous crime against humanity. It is the crime of all crimes. Our people, the people of Palestine, show us the way forward. And you, all of you, every one of you, will pave that way forward with us. Let us vow, never again. Never again! And all of you, this is your movement for liberation. We will not stop. You will not stop until a free. I stand before you, the son of the first Nakba and the child of the first Intifada. 35 years ago, a Palestinian national poet, Samih al-Qasim, wrote these words addressing our oppressor, our jailer, our occupier. And he said this: He said, تقدموا تقدموا كل سماء فوقكم جهنم وكل أرض تحتكم جهنم. تقدموا يموت منا الطفل والشيخ ولا يستسلم. تسقط الأم على أبنائها القتلى ولا تستسلم. تقدموا بناقلات جندكم وراجمات حقدكم وشردوا وشردوا وهددوا ويتموا. لن تكسروا أعماقنا، لن تهزموا أشواقنا، لن تهزموا أشواقنا. نحن القضاء المبرم، نحن القضاء المبرم. I stand again after 75 years to tell you, to confirm, to vow, we shall recover, we will rise, we will rebuild Gaza. Gaza will be back, beautiful, resilient. And we, with you, shall advance to a free. Thank you.
Thank you, Hussam. Our next speaker is someone who has always been a strong voice for the Palestinian people in Parliament. She is the MP for Poplar and Limehouse. Please give a warm welcome to Afsana Begum. Thank you so much. Over the past months across the UK political establishment, we have witnessed not only a chilling contempt for Palestinian life, but aggressive censorship of anyone who expresses compassion and solidarity with Palestinians. Any expression of Palestinian identity has all too often been deemed unacceptable, accompanied by dog whistle racism and Islamophobia. And to be totally honest, I don't think I'll ever forget this for the rest of my life. Of course, it is all connected, because surely when thousands and thousands of men, women and children suffer violent deaths or are having their legs amputated without anaesthetic, this would surely provoke condemnation. Surely when people are being starved and having their homes destroyed, the impetus would be always to prevent this from continuing. And that's even after the ICJ ruling, the warnings of famine, and UNRWA saying that it will most likely be forced to shut down operations by the end of February if its funding is not restored. Surely such appalling human suffering would provoke a sense of humanity to do everything possible to bring about an end. And yet this government continues to send arms whilst withdrawing aid. Shame. It has been absolutely shocking, but the last few months has also seen a growing solidarity movement. The call for slaughter to end gets louder and louder, and it comes from all over the world. People from different faiths, different backgrounds and ethnicities, and it certainly includes thousands from my own East London constituency. Because regardless of the attempts at dehumanization, the bombing, starving and displacement of civilians in Gaza, which has horrified millions and drawn widespread public outcry, it really is the fact that despite the extraordinary levels of repression, at every level, there has been an unparalleled sense of human solidarity that has emerged over the globe. And we are continuing to grow in number. And we know that we must continue to speak out. And by speaking out, that means calling for the UK government to resume its aid funding immediately. That also means calling for the UK government to ensure that arms sales are to be halted straight away. End arms sales to Israel now. And we know it means demanding an immediate and permanent ceasefire. And we also know it means an end to the dispossession and oppression of the Palestinian people. I'll keep calling for that here with you on the streets and in Parliament. Solidarity. Free, free. Free, free.
Brick by brick, wall by wall, occupation has to fall. Come on, brick by brick, wall by wall, occupation has to fall. Now you know the police didn't want us standing outside Downing Street. They didn't want us marching on Whitehall. So let's show them that we're here. Wave your flags and your banners high. And repeat after me. Free, free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Stop the genocide! End apartheid! Free, free, free Palestine! Free, free, free Palestine! Now make some noise so that Rishi can hear you! He's a national officer of the Stop the War Coalition, but he is also president of one of the trade unions that supports the Palestinians, that supports the boycott, divestment and sanctions movement. He's the president of the mighty, mighty RMT. Let's hear it for Alex Gordon.
Thank you, Shelley. First off, I want to say a massive congratulations to everyone who's here today. This is the 8th National March for Palestine, and we are absolutely changing the politics of this country. Make no mistake about it, we are winning. When the British state and the British political establishment backed Israel's genocidal war on Gaza, they thought that we would fall for their war fever. And we haven't. We have put a movement of millions into the streets in London, in Manchester, in Glasgow, in Belfast, in Dublin, in Newcastle, in Cardiff. And now we need to bring this movement into our political life and our political institutions in this country. We're all here on a Saturday. Let me ask you, how many of you are going to be going to work on Monday morning? How many of you are trade unionists? Are there any trade unionists here? Listen up. This is what we've got to do. This week is going to be an important week for taking action for Palestine, standing with Gaza, showing solidarity with Palestinians in your workplace. This Tuesday, the 6th of February, the RMT London Regional Council, along with the London organisations of Unite the Union, the UCU, the NEU, are holding a mass rally in Mander Hall, the NEU headquarters, at 6:30 in the evening. We'll have speakers from trade unions there. The reason we're calling a rally is because this Wednesday, the 7th of February, is a workplace day of action across this country. Stop the War and CND are calling on everyone who goes to work or who attends a college or university on this coming Wednesday, the 7th of February, to stand with Gaza by organising a walkout at lunchtime or an early morning protest with your fellow workers. On Wednesday, we're demanding that our government stops fueling war, stops colluding in the genocide of Palestinians, and instead calls and votes for a permanent ceasefire in Gaza and the Middle East. The trade union movement in this country is where solidarity comes from. We remember those who helped us, and we're going to reach out and help those who are calling for our solidarity in the Palestinian trade unions today. Palestine is the cause of our generation. As we march and protest and organise, we will ensure our trade unions are at the heart of this movement that we are building. The movement that is responding to a direct call from our sisters and brothers in Palestine for solidarity, for an end to Israel's war on Palestinians, for an end to Israeli occupation and apartheid, for an independent and sovereign Palestinian state with Jerusalem as its capital. Solidarity with Palestine. Ceasefire now. Stand with Gaza. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Our next speaker is another very, very important part of the trade union movement. And we're really honoured because this is going to be her first speech as the newly elected General Secretary of the PCS, representing over 200,000 public sector workers. So please put your hands together for General Secretary Fred Heathcote.
Thanks so much. I feel incredibly proud in my first week as General Secretary to be here bringing solidarity from my union PCS. Friends, since the start of October, the humanitarian situation in Gaza has deteriorated at an appalling rate. Let us condemn the dreadful role of the West in enabling and endorsing Israel's behaviour. We must absolutely oppose escalation. But I want to start by setting out just how grave things are at the moment. On average, 247 Palestinians are being killed and are at risk of being killed every single day. This includes 48 mothers and more than 117 children every day. Each day, an average of 629 people will be wounded, some multiple times. At the current rate, which shows no sign of abating, at least 3 medics, 2 teachers, more than 1 UN employee and more than 1 journalist will be killed every day. Each day, at least 10 Palestinian children will have 1 or both of their legs amputated, many without anaesthesia. According to the World Food Programme, 4 out of 5 people in Gaza are in famine or in catastrophic hunger. Palestinians in Gaza now make up 80% of people worldwide who are suffering from famine, according to a new UN report. Experts warn that deaths from starvation and disease are significantly outnumbering deaths from bombings. Diarrhea in under 5s has increased by 2,000% rather. Miscarriages in Gaza have increased by 300% under Israeli bombing. Before Israel began bombing, there were 36 functioning hospitals in Gaza. Last week, only 1 of those hospitals remained, and that's now been bombed and is no longer operational. Just hours before I began speaking, at least 20 Palestinians were killed and 150 wounded after an Israeli strike hit a group of people waiting for aid. This is a list of unimaginable horrors that only scratches the surface. And unless something is done, the people of Gaza will be plunged even deeper into that nightmarish scenario that is impossible to comprehend. And that is why my union, PCS, has been calling for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, a stop to the killings, and to allow all humanitarian aid into Gaza. We have been long-standing supporters of the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign. I'm immensely proud that we led the call for many years and have demanded justice for people in Palestine. We were the first union to issue a statement and to make a donation. On the 7th of February, as Alex said, our members will be supporting the Workplace Day of Action. What the people of Palestine need now is a ceasefire, an end to the bloodshed, and a permanent and just peace. We've always said there will be no justice or peace without a free and independent Palestine, and that is why we will keep fighting and we will keep supporting you until those things are achieved. Thank you so much, and solidarity.
Free, 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 free. We have 200,000 people marching here in London, calling for a ceasefire. Ceasefire now. 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 Our next speaker is chair of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, one of the co-organisers of today's march. So please give a warm welcome to Colonel Hawash.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out for the 8th time in London. I was also in Birmingham, my city, about 2 weeks ago, and 50,000 people, the largest protest ever in Birmingham, was held. As you heard, I am the chair of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign, which gives me tremendous pride. But I'm prouder to say I am from Jerusalem, the capital of Palestine. Birmingham's population is about 1 million people. Can you imagine 2 Birminghams, 2 million people being pushed out of their homes to Coventry, a nice city, or to Wolverhampton? Suddenly, instead of the local population, you have 2 million more people come. And they literally come with the clothes that they are wearing. So Israel says, leave this city, it's safer to be in the other city. They leave, they bomb them. Then they say, move further south. They do, they bomb them. Now what is left, effectively, of Gaza is Khan Yunis and Rafah. Rafah, you will know well, because there is a crossing there to Egypt. And that is where Israel is pushing all the Palestinians to go. Because guess what? Its plan is to expel the Palestinians. Let's be clear about what is happening. And therefore, when we used to talk about apartheid, pro-Israel would say, you can't say Israel is an apartheid state. It is. Now we talk about genocide, they say, don't say Israel is a genocidal state. It most certainly is, as the judgment of the Court of Justice showed. What needs to happen now is immediately we should have a ceasefire. Because the first thing we must have is an end to the killing. But beyond that, we want a huge amount of aid to go to help these people, the 2 million people who've been displaced. Who's going to deliver that aid? Oh, Israel thinks we can make them starve even quicker. We stop UNRWA. This is the United Nations Refugee and Works Agency. We stop it working by saying that 12 of its workers were involved in the 7th of October. But so suddenly Britain, the US and others stopped funding UNRWA, which would deliver the food. Has Israel delivered the file that makes its case about these people. It has not. Why is that? Because Israel is a lying state. It is a lying state. Nobody should believe a word that comes out of an Israeli official's mouth except when they say they want to reoccupy Gaza, they want to return the settlements. That is what these terrorist leaders want. And the United Kingdom should stand with the Palestinian people. Britain is on notice for complicity in genocide. So we say to Rishi Sunak, you can't hide, we charge you with genocide.
Rishi Sunak, you can't hide. Louder so we can hear you. Rishi Sunak, you can't hide. Rishi Sunak, you can't hide. Now we know there's Rishi and there's a lot of other genocide enablers in Parliament, but there are a few good ones too. And our next speaker is a member of Parliament who's always stood on the side of freedom for the Palestinians. She's the MP for Leicester East. Please welcome Claudia Webb.
Thank you. And I'm delighted to be here with you today to stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine. I bring you solidarity from the people of Leicester. You are here. You are here on the right side of history demanding an immediate ceasefire. Israel is now officially on trial for genocide. South Africa knows what apartheid looks like, and it was right to bring action against Israel. Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. Already more than 500,000 people, Palestinians, are eating grass to stave off hunger. And clean water is almost impossible to find. Despite the court's ruling, Israel continues the killing of Palestinians in Gaza. Israel is already in breach of the order, meaning what does international law mean if we can do what we want when we want? Britain and the US are complicit, allowing Israel to act with impunity, with arrogance, and despite the International Court for Justice ruling, Britain's official line remains that the case of genocide against Israel should not have been brought in the first place. Boo! Britain's imperialism in Gaza and Yemen is one of bombs, bullets and betrayal. Unbelievably, the UK government stopped funding UNRWA, the UN Palestinian Aid Organisation. Boo! The Belgian government said no. It will not collude with Israel. It will not only continue funding UNRWA, it will treble it. In response, Israel flattened Belgium's official office in Gaza. War crimes upon war crimes. The evidence is clear. Civilians in Gaza are tied up, blindfolded and executed. And not even carrying a white flag will bring you safety. Nowhere in Gaza is safe. The people of Gaza are facing unimaginable horrors, waterborne diseases and famine. Yet our government refuses to call for an immediate ceasefire. His Majesty's official opposition, the Labour Party, refuses to call for an immediate ceasefire. British-made weapons are raining down and bombing the people and infrastructure of Gaza. Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer are culpable and complicit. Our message is clear. stop arming Israel. Thanks to your efforts and others around the globe, more are behind and delivering action against the power, and they're waking up. But we can't take our foot off the pedal. We cannot let our voices get quieter. We have to shout about Israel's war crimes and shout the delusion of our government just as loudly. Those who support Israel's actions are hoping we'll lose heart. We won't lose heart. We must not stop. And we will not stop until the killings have stopped and the Palestinians have justice. I'm proud to stand with you today. We must be back week after week. We must not allow all the actions to happen. We must register to vote. Do it today and every day. Our message is clear. We take this fight from our streets to Parliament to the ballot box. None of us are free until Palestine is free. Solidarity, free, free Palestine. Free, 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 free. And in our thousands, in our millions. 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 Our next speaker represents the Jewish bloc on today's demonstration, who are a group of British Jews organising in their community for an end to the occupation and freedom for Palestine. Please make some noise for Max Gerber.
Free, free! Free, free! I stand on this stage today knowing I don't have to make a choice between my family and my hunger for the liberation of Palestine in our lifetime. This is because decades ago, my parents had the courage and conviction to question received wisdoms about Israel. I stand on their shoulders. I believe there is a quiet reckoning going on in Jewish households across the country. Our Jewish bloc swells in numbers with every march, and we are only growing. We are here because we know the weight of the word genocide, and we know in our bones to fight it with all our strength. My message to Jews who are conflicted, quietly questioning what they've been told all their lives, like my parents did all those years ago. Don't believe that the only path to our safety is violence. The state of Israel does not make our communities safer. Here on the march we say, we keep each other safe, so come and join us. I also urge everybody here today to push against that passivity, that deafening silence in our workplaces, in our schools, and wherever we may find it. Push through that English politeness, for there is nothing polite about English-made bombs being made in unassuming industrial estates across the country, from Kent to Blackburn. There is nothing polite about a genocide. I asked my friend and my former colleague from Gaza Sky Geeks, Ghada Ibrahim, if there's anything that she would like to say to the protesters of London. It is with her words that I'd like to end, and I hope I do them justice. For years, we worked tirelessly to empower our youth and illuminate a pathway for them beyond the constraints of a harsh blockade. We fostered a community grounded in mutual trust and in the unshakable belief in a brighter future. Yet the past 4 months have seen our reality dramatically transformed. We've mourned the loss of precious lives, the destruction of our homes, and the desolation of our lands. We stand on the precipice of despair, and our faith in global justice is wavering under the shadow of indifference. Now we issue a fervent call to action. Your voice has the power to alter our destiny. Stand in solidarity with us. Raise your voice for peace and demand an immediate ceasefire. Ceasefire now! Together, we can champion the cause of letting Gaza live and freeing Palestine. Your engagement is not merely beneficial, it is vital. Take a stand now for humanity, for justice, for peace. Free Palestine!
Thank you. As we all know, the oppression of Palestinians has been going on far beyond these past 120 days. For over 75 years, Palestinians have been suffering from systematic ethnic cleansing and have been living under an illegal occupation. Our next speaker is someone who has been campaigning against apartheid and for the freedom of Palestinians for over 26 years. He is the founder and chair of Friends of Al-Aqsa, one of the co-organisers of today's protest. So please give a very warm welcome to Dr. Ismail Patel.
Assalamu alaikum. For the past 12 weeks, Israel has mercilessly been bombing Gaza. Israel is carrying out a war never seen in history, where 80% of the strip has been destroyed, 50% of the deaths are children, and 90% of the population is displaced. The ICJ has ruled there is a plausible case Israel is carrying out a genocide in Gaza. But let us be clear, the genocide in Gaza is made possible because of Starmer's and Sunak's unreserved support for Israel. When Israel blocked fuel, food, electricity and water in Gaza, Sunak praised Israel and said, "We want Israel to win," while Starmer saw nothing wrong with the collective punishment. When Netanyahu says he's going to colonize and subjugate everything between the river and the sea, the British government sends Israel military aid. When Netanyahu says there will be no Palestinian state, in effect ethnically cleansing Palestine, Sunak and Starmer wants us to think that is Israel's right to self-defense. Well, friends, let us send a message to Israel, Starmer and Sunak. We will not stop until occupation and oppression end between river and the sea. We will not stop until there is an end to the siege of Gaza. We will not stop until there is a free Palestine. Friends, we must never forget that if the MPs had voted for a ceasefire on November 16th, there would have been over 50% less misery, less deaths, and less destruction in Gaza. We must never forget, friends, that if the British government, after blocking for a vote for ceasefire, are now defunding UNRWA because of an unproven allegation. This is despite Israel bombing UNRWA schools, despite bombing UNRWA health centers, UNRWA convoys, and Israel bombing UNRWA refugee camps. The defunding of UNRWA is inhumane and immoral. The defunding of UNRWA puts all Palestinians on a death sentence. If the Israeli bombs don't kill the Palestinians, disease and famine will soon kill them. In effect, the defunding of UNRWA is aiding collective punishment. Until the UK government calls for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, restoring the fund of UNRWA, and suspend the arms sales to Israel, it is not only complicit, but assisting in the genocide. Let us be united and say to the warmongering MPs, we will never forget your aiding of the genocide at election time. Let us use democracy and make a difference. First, do not vote for anybody who did not support the ceasefire vote on the 16th of November. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no ceasefire. Second, do not vote for anybody who is supporting for the defunding of UNRWA. Third,
Do not vote for anybody who does not respect the ICJ ruling and refuse to call out Israel for committing genocide. Let us work together, friends, and make sure our next MP must call for an end to genocide, must end the Israeli occupation, and must call for a free. Thank you very much.
1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free. There are literally thousands of Palestinian flags on this demonstration today. But you know, I've seen a lot of other flags as well. I've seen a lot of Irish flags. And I want you to give a big warm welcome to our next speaker, because she's come over from Dublin just to speak to us today. She's a senator for Sinn Féin, all the way from Dublin today. Give it up for Lynn Boylan.
Friends, solidarity from Ireland, solidarity with Palestine. And today is a very special day for Sinn Féin and for Republicans on the island of Ireland, because today something is happening that we were told would never happen. There's a Republican First Minister in the north of Ireland. So don't let them tell you that peace is impossible. Don't let them tell you that a free Palestine is impossible. Free Palestine! We must keep marching for Palestine, and it's wonderful to see so many people give up your time and come out today in solidarity, because Palestinian lives are depending on us. Keep talking about Palestine. Israel is committing genocide in front of our very eyes. 27,000 Palestinians are dead, and the onslaught continues. Nobody and nowhere is safe in Gaza. Not babies, not doctors, not journalists. Israel's collective punishment of the Palestinian people must stop. The world cannot continue to turn a blind eye while international law is torn up. And I commend South Africa for taking the case to the International Court of Justice. I commend their bravery, but now it's up to other countries to join their case. Every day on our screens we are bearing witness to the indiscriminate slaughter of the innocent. And sometimes I know, friends, the sense of powerlessness can be overwhelming. And I know that our hearts are breaking on a daily basis for Palestine. But the Palestinians do not need our tears. They don't want tea and sympathy from the politicians. They want action. They want to know that their lives matter. They want to know that the world stands with the oppressed and not the oppressor. Israel acts with impunity because Israel can act with impunity. Where are the sanctions? Where are the consequences for a state that does not recognise human rights? This is a defining moment for our generation, and we will all be judged on our actions. What we did to stop the slaughter. And we must keep demanding an end to the killings, an end to the blockade, to the annexations, to the ethnic cleansing, and never has it been more important to support the BDS campaign. So workers, please refuse to handle Israeli goods and goods from the occupied territories. Likewise, Israel cannot be allowed to participate in the Eurovision or the Olympics. Stand with, boycott them. It's a rogue state. So free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. Solidarity from Ireland. Keep the fight. Thank you, Lynn. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. I want everyone to raise their flags high and proud when we say, from the river to the sea. 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 Our next speaker is a Palestinian poet, writer and academic. Please give a warm welcome to Rafi Ziadeh.
Hello everybody. I start every speech by saying I'm a refugee from occupied Palestine, soon to be free Palestine. Here we are again. And the last time I spoke, I said we would be here again and again and again. They hope to break people in Palestine and they hope to break us here. What they don't understand is that for 75 years, the Palestinian people have not been broken, and we will not be broken until Palestine is free. I don't want to give a long speech because I know many of you are tired, and I know we have done a lot of speechifying, and I think the time for speeches is over. We need to take the streets, yes, but we also need to organize. In the same week as the ICJ decision, this government shamefully decided to cut the funding to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency for Palestinian Refugees, UNRWA. Let me tell you, I came from a family that depended on UNRWA. And when you cut that funding, you are cutting hearing aids for children. You are cutting food off of people who are already being starved by the Israeli state. Shame on this government. And the complicity goes all the way through. From the so-called government to the so-called opposition, to the so-called universities, to the so-called institutions, every one of them should be ashamed of how they have watched in silence 120 days of genocide. What is there left to be said? What is the threshold they need? And if they won't listen, it is our job to make them listen. I work with Palestinian trade unions in an organization called Workers in Palestine. We have said loud and clear that Palestinian unions, Palestinian workers have set up a picket line. And what do you do with an international picket line? We only expect you to respect it. Don't handle Israeli goods. Make sure that the arms trade in this country is stopped. Remember that the bombs dropping over Gaza don't come from nowhere. They come from the US, they come with the blessing of the UK military, and we need to say no to the arms trade loud and clear. There can be no business as usual. There can be no business as usual wherever we are. Let's end the complicity. Let's keep organizing. It's important to march, and thank all of you for coming out here. Like I said, they want to break us, but we will not be broken. And if there's anything to learn from the Palestinian people, is that we keep going until Palestine is free! Free, 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 free! Now our next speaker is from a union representing over 100,000 people working in universities, universities and colleges. It's a union that supports Palestine, and it's a union that's asking all those members this week to take action in their workplaces in support of a ceasefire in Gaza. Please welcome the president of the UCU Union, Justine Mercer.
Wow! As president of UCU, it is my privilege to speak on behalf of our 125,000 members. Teachers, administrators, librarians, professors, technicians, graduate students, student councillors. These are the workers we represent, but it could be also a list of Palestinian colleagues killed by Israel. Like everyone here, we are outraged by Israel's assault on Gaza. The never-ending loss of life, the ongoing humanitarian tragedy, 120 days. As an education union, we utterly condemn the way Israel has systematically destroyed the entire education system in Gaza, from its nurseries to its world-leading research facilities. Education is the lifeblood of the Palestinian people. There are more PhDs per capita than anywhere else in the world. Yes, there are 650,000 students and 22,500 teachers in Gaza. As of this week, Israel had killed 4,327 Palestinian students, 231 teachers and administrators, 97 university professors, and the slaughter continues. Every single university has been bombed, many reduced to rubble. Israel has boasted with glee of the destruction of higher education facilities. It has deliberately targeted many of Gaza's leading intellectuals and educational leaders. People like Professor Sufyan Tayyar, the president of the Islamic University in Gaza, Professor Mohammed Eid Sabia, a leading microbiologist, Professor Rafat Alaria, an incredible poet, writer and English scholar. Just three of our brilliant colleagues whose lives have been cut short. The calculated destruction of Palestinian education is a crime against humanity. It is deliberately designed to destroy them as a people. Their means to life, their intellectual culture, their history. So I'm incredibly proud that UCU is supporting the Palestinian people's cause. To our UK University Vice-Chancellors I say, we demand, support your Palestinian staff and students. Protect those advocating for Palestine on campuses. Of the British government, we demand that you stop arming Israel. An immediate reversal of the decision to defund UNRWA. Commit to a long-term reconstruction programme for Palestinian education. Solidarity. We need an immediate ceasefire and a lasting peace. Justice, solidarity, thank you.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! And in our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! Our next speaker is a very special man. He has been at every every single one of these solidarity demonstrations. He's a man who fights apartheid and injustice wherever he finds it. Please give a very warm welcome to the MP for Islington North, Jeremy Corbyn!
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, everyone that's travelled from all over the country to be here today. Thank you to the organisers for putting this on, despite all the bureaucratic difficulties that are thrown in their way, because there is a bit of a conspiracy in this country to try and stop people speaking out when we need those voices to be heard as loudly as possible. So carry on doing it. Can I also say a special thank you to the trade union bloc that's here today and the trade unions and trade union members that have come here today, responding to the call of the Palestinian trade unions for action all around the world in support of the people of Palestine. You're so welcome here today. It's brilliant that you're here. Can I also say a huge thank you to all of the different communities that are here today, showing that we are people. We are people from all backgrounds, all faiths, all walks of life. We're here because we're determined to see peace and we're determined to see justice. And in that context particularly, I want to say a huge thank you to the Jewish bloc that's here today that have marched and shown their solidarity. Their solidarity with the people of Palestine. The people who, on top of those that were killed on October the 7th, have now lost 30,000 people in Gaza. People dying because of lack of food, lack of water, lack of medicine. People will soon be dying as cholera will break out when the weather gets warmer. Those million people around Rafah simply trying to survive. And when Israel continues the bombardment after the International Court of Justice ruling, there is something very, very seriously wrong in this world. I was there at The Hague to hear the presentation by South Africa, and I say a huge thank you to South Africa for taking the case. And the interim judgment requires that the bombardments end, requires there be no more attacks, and requires that medical aid and water and food get through to the people of Gaza. Well, it's a bit difficult to deliver water, food and medicine if you're being bombed at the same time. There has to be a ceasefire now. And that means those countries, Britain, the USA and others, that are still supplying arms and weapons and military assistance to Israel need to think again. If they read very carefully what the ICJ judgment says, they are also in danger of being arraigned before a court for standing up against the judgment of the ICJ, which says there has to be an end to the fighting. They are condoning the fighting. So, time is very limited. I just want to conclude by saying this. We march because we believe. We march because the Palestinian people want and need our support. We've got to take that message to every community, every union branch, all our groups, and turn out as long and as often as it takes, because the people of Palestine need our support. If we don't get a ceasefire here, the war goes on in Iran, in Yemen, in Iraq, in Syria, in Jordan, in the Red Sea, in the Mediterranean. We are the voice for peace. Unlock the process for peace by stopping the fighting and bring about a ceasefire now in Palestine. Thank you.
Once again, give it up for Jeremy Corbyn! Now, our
trade unions have always stood in solidarity with Palestinians. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our next speaker. He's the General Secretary of the RMT, who represent over 80,000 transport workers across the country. Please give a warm welcome to the incredible Mick Lynch.
Hello, thank you. Thank you for coming out again in your hundreds of thousands. The RMT is here simply to express our solidarity with all of you, despite the hate and the bile that comes from the Tories and the right-wingers and the racists in this country. You have come out time and again to put your arms around the Palestinian people, to show your love and solidarity, and that's the job of all of us. Everyone in this country, no matter what our background, no matter what our community, no matter what our religion, we are all working people together. They are working people in Gaza and in the West Bank, and we must show our solidarity. And we call all of the trade union movement and all of the socialist movement and our Labour Party, stand up and support the people who are being massacred. Stand up against the slaughter. Stand up against genocide and build the bridges of peace on behalf of the people of the world, and especially the people of Palestine. Because history will judge us. Where were you in this period? Who did you support? Were you hiding behind your politics, or were you being brave with your principles? So that's what we must do. Call out the politicians. Tell them stand with the people. Stand with the people that are coming out. With the peacemakers. Against the warmongers. Stand with the children. Stand with the innocents that are being slaughtered. That's our job as trade unionists, to protect the vulnerable, to protect those that can't speak for themselves, and those that are being slaughtered under the rubble of Gaza. So come out every week. Come out for the Palestinians. Come out for your own self-respect, that you will fight for justice and peace. You will fight for the Palestinian people, and we will keep going until we have peace in Palestine, peace in the region, social justice, and a Palestinian state of liberty and freedom. Thanks very much. Solidarity, and keep fighting.
Let's get it up for Nick! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Our next speaker is a British Palestinian. He's representing one of the organisations that called today's demonstration, the Palestinian Forum in Britain. Please give it up for Malik Mohammed!
Assalamu alaikum everyone. Peace upon you. Free, free! On behalf of the Palestinian Forum in Britain, we thank you for answering our call and marching in the streets of London today and calling for ceasefire and to stop the genocide. I want to announce that today we have reached more than 250,000 here in London calling for a ceasefire. But I want to ask you as well, join us on the 17th of February for the Global Action for Palestine. Please stay tuned for the announcement. The UK government should be held accountable for their responsibility in allowing this genocide to continue. The Palestinians deserve their right to be recognized, not only just the state. It's ironic to see politicians here in the UK, the government or the opposition, are debating who is going to recognize Palestine first. And instead of doing the right thing and saving the Palestinians who are killed every day at the moment. The ongoing genocide in Gaza, all of the killings, all of the massacres we've witnessed should be stopped. I cannot believe how people are normalizing that there is no food, no medicine, people suffering from famine, and nobody allowing for the injured people to leave Gaza. As well, in the West Bank and Jerusalem, people are suffering at the moment. They can't travel, they've been killed, they've been attacked, and settlers stealing their lands and homes. So the Palestinians have the right to live and have the right to defend themselves. For many years, Palestinians couldn't travel freely in Palestine. They lived under occupation. Gaza suffered from blockade for more than 17 years. So the Palestinians have the right to end the occupation. The Palestinian cause started more than 75 years when Palestinians were ethnically cleansed and displaced. And let's forget, there is a lot of people still waiting for their justice. So Palestinians have the right to return. Millions of Palestinians are ruled by military law and prosecuted in criminal military courts, while nearly 500,000 Israeli settlers in the West Bank are governed under civil and criminal law. That's apartheid. At the moment, nearly 3,000 people, Palestinian people, are held in administrative detention without any charge, without any trial. And yet, we don't hear a word about them. We don't hear a politician calling for immediate release for those. So the Palestinians have the right to be free. Our words should be actions. When we say Palestinians will be free, that should be our project, and it's our duty to do more. We should thank and support and help South Africa for their efforts to uphold the international law to prevent the genocide of the Palestinians. But we should do more to pursue all of those war criminals and make sure that the past and the current crimes to be brought before the courts. Call me crazy, but I see it from now. After 15 years, we will see those criminal wars behind the bars and serve justice. It's our responsibility to help the Palestinians. So all these millions marching on the streets should think about anything they can provide, any initiative you have. Please contact and provide your information to the Palestinian Forum in Britain or the Palestinian Solidarity Campaign or any other organization working to the Palestinian cause. I will end with this. There is loads of types of Palestinians, people who are from Gaza, people who are from West Bank, or people originally from Palestine like myself. But there is a new type of Palestinian, which is you. The people who took the effort and the time to come today and to say, free Palestine. In one voice we will say, in a thousands, in a million, we are all Palestinians. In a thousands, we are all Palestinians. Thank you.
In our thousands, in our millions. In our thousands, in our millions. In our thousands, in our millions. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Free, free. Our next speaker is the MP for Coventry South. Please put your hands together for Zara Sultana.
Hi everyone, I'm Zara Sultana and it is an honour to speak in front of all of you today. When South Africa brought their case against Israel at the International Court of Justice, our political leaders derided it. The Prime Minister's spokesperson said the case was completely unjustified. The Foreign Secretary said it was nonsense. The Biden administration said it was without any basis in fact. Well, Last week, the International Court of Justice said something very, very different. It vindicated every single person here. It vindicated what we have been saying for weeks and months. It said that it was plausible that Israel's brutal assault on the Palestinian people in Gaza is in breach of the Genocide Convention, and so it ordered Israel to prevent acts of genocide, an utterly damning judgment and historic victory. So let's be clear that these orders cannot be followed without Israel ending its assault on Gaza. So let's say it again, loud and clear, like we've been doing for months. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Today, let's pay tribute not just to the Palestinian people for their bravery, not just to South Africa for bringing this case, but also to every single person here, you and the millions of people across the world who have been marching for peace and justice week in, week out. You have forced the world to listen, and the world is listening. Our work doesn't stop. That ruling should have been the turning point. It should have been the moment, long overdue, when our government finally changed course. But what has it done instead? Instead, it has suspended funding for UNRWA, the aid agency millions of Palestinians rely on. So let's remember this, and let's make our politicians remember this. When the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to allow emergency aid into Gaza, our government and Israel's allies stopped sending aid into Gaza. So let's say it together. Rishi Sunak, shame on you! Rishi Sunak, shame on you! And we know that our government's complicity doesn't end there. While the government continues to send arms to the Israeli military, we know they are arming war crimes in Gaza. That's why I brought a bill to Parliament to suspend arms sales to Israel and any country that will be using them or might use them in violations of international law. The government, unsurprisingly, does not support my bill, but I'll bring it forward again and again until arms sales end. So I'll finish with this. The movement that has risen up for Palestine does not end today. We do not stop until there's a ceasefire. We do not stop until the siege is lifted. We do not stop until the occupation ends and Palestine is free. So say it with me. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Solidarity! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
It is my huge, huge honour to make our numbers announcement for this afternoon. And I am really, really pleased to be able to say that despite everything, despite the issues with transport that have meant that some of our comrades can't get here, there are 250,000 of us on the streets of London today. I want to see 250,000 flags in the air, banners in the air, placards in the air. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! And in our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! Louder so that Rishi Sunak can hear us! In our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! In our thousands, in our millions! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free!
Make some noise! Brothers and sisters, as you know, our movement is so diverse.
And at the heart of our movement are young people and students. And because they have been so strong and determined and courageous over Palestine, they are facing a backlash in schools and universities. But nonetheless, they have been fighting back. And I want to tell you, in case you haven't seen, that on the 7th of February, next Wednesday, there is a national day of school strikes and university walkouts. Students in schools and campuses across the country will be taking a stand for Palestine. So look up the details on the Stop the War website. Get involved. It will also be part of a wider day of action with workers and trade unions in the NEU and UCU and other unions taking action. Let's make this massive. Let's take the movement into our communities and institutions, and let's show them that the support for Palestine is not going anywhere. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Solidarity.
Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! From the river to the sea! 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 Our next speaker is here representing the Muslim Association of Britain, one of the co-organisers of today's march. So please give a warm welcome to Mustafa Tabark.
Brothers, sisters, friends, Assalamu alaikum. Every single day we are seeing horrific images and videos of Palestinians being killed, bombed into literal pieces, massacred en masse and buried under the rubble. Nearly 30,000 civilians have been murdered. This genocide is being broadcast live all over the world. Yet we stand here today, 250,000 of us, 250,000 strong, as a continued reminder to our politicians that we stand against genocide. And that we remain firm and unapologetic in our commitment to justice. The International Court of Justice has ruled that there is a plausible case for genocide. Despite this, our politicians want to convince us that calling this a genocide is debatable. They want to distract us from their complicity in this ongoing genocide. They want to distract us from their moral bankruptcy and their unwillingness to hold Israel to account. So let me ask this: how many more Palestinians must die for their lives to matter? We see Israeli soldiers shoot Palestinians waving white flags. We see Israeli settlers blocking aid from entering Gaza. We see those in the Israeli government celebrating the destruction of Gaza and looking forward to illegally settling there once again. Let us be clear about what this is: the ethnic cleansing of Palestine and its people. There is no crime that Israel has not committed. So at what point do our politicians draw the line? When do they grow a backbone and have a conscience? Friends, let us remember this moment. Let us remember how low our politicians have sunk, so that calling for a ceasefire is too much for them, too controversial for them. Yet, despite this, they will not silence us. They will not stop our calls for an immediate and permanent ceasefire. They will not
politicians or political parties to remain silent in the face of genocide and illegal occupation. So today, our promise is this: we will mobilize, we will organize, and we will penalize those who stand by genocide. We will continue to protest in spite of those who support genocide and enable Israeli war crimes. And come the general elections, we will vote them out! Vote them out!
Thank you very much.
What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? What do we want? And when do we want it? Our next speaker is a human rights activist. She is a leading British Palestinian voice, and she is standing for Parliament as an independent candidate in Ilford North at the next general election. Please welcome Liane Mohammed.
Thank you. My name is Liane Mohammed, and today I stand in front of you as an independent, prospective parliamentary candidate for Ilford North. I'd like to begin by thanking you for your unwavering solidarity and commitment as you march again and again and again, reminding us Palestinians that we remain in your hearts and in your minds, and that we have not been forgotten. In the face of relentless efforts to stifle dissent and to erase us, it is your steadfast support that guarantees that our voices will only grow louder, our collective strength will only amplify, and no force will ever be able to silence us. And we will not stop putting pressure on our government until it calls for a full, for a permanent and for an immediate ceasefire now! As we approach the upcoming general election later this year, let it be known that we will not forget. We will remember every single name of every single politician who did not vote for a ceasefire. We will remember those who chose silence over humanity. We will remember those who aided and abetted and applauded these war crimes. And we will hold them accountable at the ballot box. As we gather here today, more and more unspeakable atrocities are still being committed in Gaza. Over 27,000 Palestinians have been killed in only 4 months, and thousands more are buried under the rubble of what was once their home. Gaza is running out of time. Enough is enough. Entire neighborhoods have been reduced to rubble. Entire families have been completely wiped out. And history bears witness and is still watching. Yet history too shall remember. And our message this weekend and going forward this year is simple. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire, no vote. No ceasefire. Our vote will never be taken for granted again. We will never forgive. We will never forget. We will never choose to ignore the fact that most of these politicians place their careers above the lives of thousands and thousands of men, women and children in Gaza and the West Bank.
ceasefire! No ceasefire! Let's say it as loudly as we can so that everyone in Westminster today can hear us. No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! And Rishi Sunak, you can't hide! 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 Our next speakers are from an ever-growing number of councillors who have left the Labour Party over the party's shameful support of the genocide in Gaza. Please welcome from Kirklees, Councillor Amar Anwar, and from Oxford, veteran South African anti-apartheid campaigner, Jabrinella Hartley.
Thank you very much. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Assalamu alaikum, London. I don't think you heard me. Assalamu alaikum, London. I want to start off from a famous quote. There are decades where nothing happens. Then there are weeks where decades happen. And alhamdulillah, 2 weeks ago, I made history in Kirklees and around the world when I resigned after my 5-year-old daughter said to me, "Dad, what are you doing about the videos you are watching about Gaza on TV?" I did not have an answer for my daughter. What could I tell a 5-year-old after she watched 3 seconds of what was going on in Gaza? And these people that sat in Parliament and that sat in council chambers around Britain are staying silent because of their pay packets. Where is the humanity? A new independent movement has started. I want all of you to go back in your own areas, in your cities, in your local wards, in your constituencies, and support the independent people. Get these Labour MPs and councillors out at the next local and general elections. I come from Batley and Dewsbury, which is a new constituency. It has always been a Labour heartland. I'm sure Keir Starmer is peeking out of one of these windows. Keir Starmer, I've got a challenge for you and the establishment. I am standing as the parliamentary candidate for Batley and Dewsbury. Come, stand against me. Let's see who wins. Starmer, I'm here. Let's come to Batley and Dewsbury. The battleground awaits you. Thank you very much, London. Free Palestine, free Gaza, free Kashmir.
Hello, my fellow conscientious objectors. South Africa showed up for Palestine in true comradeship. It was important that the Israeli government was stopped and challenged on its genocide. South Africans wanted to show the whole world that they have never forgotten the brutality of apartheid, and we are not afraid of Israel. As a South African-born Oxford City Councillor who resigned from the Labour Party, I was very proud of the action that was taken against Israel in Hague. It's why I saw the interim verdict of the International Court of Justice as a victory. The Israeli racist government has murdered close to 30,000 Palestinian people. It's now threatening to annex Gaza into a settlement state, despite the Hague's warning against ethnic cleansing. The story of Palestine and South Africa is intertwined. As Mandela stated, Our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of Palestine. We've both experienced atrocities of apartheid. It took the anti-apartheid movement 18 years to get rid of the Barclays Bank in South Africa. Barclays are now aiding and abetting Israeli genocide, along with 100 UK companies who are selling arms to Israel. South Africans had to contend with the Thatcher regime and the Reagan administration, who refused to enforce sanctions against the Barker regime, as Biden, Sunak, Starmer are refusing to call for a ceasefire now. No ceasefire, no vote. The boycott movement was a powerful tool against apartheid. In Oxford, 10 councillors who resigned. We have moved to unanimous motion on ceasefire and one on the PDS. So now I call all the countries to support South African action, and also to call for the indictment of Netanyahu and his allies in a criminal court. The whole world must rally behind South Africa. Israel is a pariah to the world. It has violated every ounce of humanity that makes us civilized. The inhumane bombardment of Gaza has ripped through our souls. We cry for Palestine. The world will never be the same. I want you to join me in an all South African slogan where we used to say, isolate apartheid, sanctions now. Isolate apartheid. Sanctions now. Isolate apartheid. Sanctions now. Isolate apartheid. Sanctions now. America! 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 Thank you. No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! No ceasefire! Now we all know that not only are this government aiding and funding these war crimes, but they have also cut crucial funding at a time when Gazans need it most. It is clear that this government's shameful complicity in this genocide knows no bounds. So let's be loud and clear when we say, stop arming Israel, stop bombing Gaza, stop arming Israel, stop arming Israel, stop arming Israel, stop arming Israel. Our next speaker is the director of the anti-poverty and global justice charity War on Want, who do crucial work on exposing Britain's arms trade with Israel. Please give it up for Asad Rahman.
Thank you, friends, sisters, brothers, comrades. Solidarity greetings from War on Want. I look here at all of us, and we stand here as a movement of movements, of black, brown, white, Jew, Christian, Muslim, young and old. And in our hearts is a burning desire and a love of all humanity. And every breath and every action we take, we demonstrate what solidarity really looks like. United with one voice to send a message to all of our sisters and brothers in Palestine. In this moment, you do not stand alone. You will never stand alone, because we are all Palestinians. And we do so at a moment, a crucial moment in history, when everything we do and what we do and what we have done and what we'll continue to do is a difference between life and death for a trapped, brutalised and occupied people. And we say clearly to those cheerleaders of death, those who have turned hunger into a weapon of war, those who have starved, bombed and destroyed, stop the bombing, ceasefire now. But friends, we are not alone, because all around the world, whether it's from the Philippines to Pakistan, from Colombia to Brazil, there are millions and millions of people who see in Palestine our past, our present and our future, where the lives of those who are black, brown and poor, those who see the reality of colonialism, of racism, of an international system where the rich and powerful determine who lives and who dies. And we, friends, here in the UK have a special responsibility, a greater responsibility than probably everywhere else in the world, because it's in these buildings that colonial masters drew lines on maps, giving away land that they did not own to the colonial and settler colonialism. And we have a word, and we have to say with one voice to those people in that parliament behind us, those who have been complicit in their silence, those who have actively armed Israel, who actively justified war crimes, crimes against humanity, and now are staying silent on genocide. If you can oppose Russian bombs falling in Kiev, you can open your mouth and oppose Israeli bombs falling on Gaza. If you can weep when Ukrainians flee their home, then shed just one tear for the Palestinians who have nowhere to flee. And if you can impose sanctions on Russian aggression, where is your action on Israeli genocide? We have seen empty words and crocodile tears from Starmer and Sunak, because their humanity stops when it comes to Palestinians. For them, Palestinian lives don't matter, even as a genocide is being live into our living rooms, of doctors and journalists, of medics, of women, children and men, of being murdered, of hospitals being destroyed, mosques and churches being destroyed, of settler colonialists and extremists in the West Bank deliberately ethnically cleansing with impunity. None of these take place in the cover of darkness. They're taking place in the eyes of the world and openly, with a government in Israel that is openly stating its genocidal intent of denying freedom, of denying justice and of denying dignity. And I know my next speaker is going to be from South Africa. And I want to remind people that once we stood here at this very same spot, shoulder to shoulder with the South African people, calling for an end to South African apartheid when our own government was colluding with it. And today, we stand shoulder to shoulder with the Palestinian people when our government is colluding with Israeli apartheid. But just as when South Africa fell because of our actions, so Israeli apartheid will fall. Free Palestine, end genocide, end apartheid.
1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine. Free Palestine.
Thank you very much. Let us, again, say thank you to South Africa. When I say Viva South Africa, I want to hear every one of you shouting back at me, Viva! Viva South Africa! Viva! Viva South Africa! Viva Palestine! Viva! Comrades, friends, South Africa defeated racist apartheid, and Palestine will defeat racist apartheid. We know that Israel is committing genocide in Palestine, not only because we can see it every single day in front of our eyes, but because, according to the ICJ, the Israeli president, the Israeli prime minister, the head of the IDF have been telling us they're committing genocide. And what did they say their reaction to the ICJ ruling would be? It would be to ignore it. And what have they done? They've ignored it. And they've slaughtered another 1,000 Palestinians since the ICJ ruled that they are committing genocide. And let us never forget, the United Kingdom and our politicians are complicit in this genocide. And it's not only because they refuse to call for a ceasefire, it is because they are profiteering from the British weapons that are being used to slaughter Palestinians. So what do we say to our politicians? And I'm not here just talking about Rishi Sunak, despicable as he is. I am also talking about my own constituency MP, Keir Starmer. He claims to be a human rights lawyer, but he will not call for a ceasefire. He claims to be a human rights lawyer, but he has been silent since the ICJ ruling. Keir Starmer, where are you? My former boss, Nelson Mandela, would not be welcome in Keir Starmer's Labour Party because of his views on Israel, because he called Israel an apartheid state. That is where we are with politics in this country. So let us honour Nelson Mandela and all Palestinians by demanding a ceasefire now. Let us also demand an end to British arms sales to Israel now. And just as tens of millions of people around the world took action to isolate and weaken apartheid South Africa, let us demand BDS against Israel now! And just as South Africa was freed from racism and apartheid, Palestine will be free! Viva South Africa! Viva! Viva Palestine! Viva!
Ceasefire now! 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 Our second last speaker is one of the true heroes of our generation. She's a Palestinian health worker with the Palestinian Medical Relief Society. And today, she's representing her colleagues in Palestine and her health workers for Palestine community. Please make some noise for Dr. Amira Nimarawi. London! You are beautiful! Can you feel freedom in the air? Because I can. You brought Palestine here, and it's stunning. I stand here today as a proud Palestinian woman who is the daughter of a refugee from Khalil and the wife and mother of Gazans. I'm outraged and disgusted that after the ICG ruling, Israel has been allowed to continue acts of genocide. 250 Palestinians every day are being slaughtered. I am sickened that countries like the US, the UK and Australia, who claim to know better, who have their own records of human rights abuses and ethnic cleansing, thought that it's okay to cut 2.2 million Gazans off from supplies to access to water and food and medical supplies. They think that we can't see that they're attempting to dismantle UNRWA to liquidate the Palestinian cause, but we see their crimes. Yesterday, the Canadian Minister of Education had the audacity to claim that the colonizers, when they arrived in 1948, found nothing but a crappy piece of land with nothing on it. It's shame! Shame! It's 2024 and these colonizers are still using the same lies. I say not in our name. Not in our name. My father was born into occupation and I have spent the last 35 years fighting for Palestinians' right to exist. My daughter has had 70 members of her family killed and her home destroyed in just a few weeks, and she's just 2. It must end here and now. The time for action is now. We can never forget that there is no going back and that there is no real ceasefire without an end to the occupation. The people of Gaza have endured, the Palestinians have suffered, and we can no longer take their resilience for granted. The leaders, the so-called leaders of this world have shown that it is up to us the people. We have work to do, and I know that each one of you has a skill and something beautiful inside of you, and now is the time to dig deep and to use that skill for Palestine and for humanity. You don't have to know the steps. Look around you. I want you to touch each other on the shoulders. Look at these people behind me. This is an example of your community, your family. The connection is real. It's not just words. I want you to take down the name of Health Workers for Palestine. Find us on Instagram. We have many actions that you can take, and we would love if you can join us next week, Saturday the 10th. You don't have to be a healthcare worker. You just have to believe that you have the power for change. Before I end, I just want you to give these health workers some love, because since day one of this aggression, they have worked hard. This is a grassroots community power that
and has spread across 60 cities across this globe. This is proof. To end, I want to share a special story. It's the story of a seed called Black Hetty, and it grew for thousands of years before the colonizers came in 1948 and eradicated it. The farmers never forgot this seed, and in 2011 they found it growing on its own in the wild, beautiful and free. Because they didn't understand that what's indigenous to that land can never be eradicated. Black Hetty is proof that our resilience and our Samud will endure. Every single one of you today needs to remember that you have a Black Hetty seed inside of you, a seed of hope, a seed of resilience and change. Yalla London unadikum! I call on you to nurture these seeds together so that this movement of love, humanity and unity can grow and grow and grow until we, together, the people, free Palestine! Up, up with liberation, down, down with occupation. Up, up with liberation, down, down with occupation. Up, up with liberation, down, down with occupation. Love you, London. Thank you. Make some noise for all of these health workers behind me. Free, free. Free, free. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. From the river to the sea. Our final speaker is the director of the Palestine Solidarity Campaign. Please make some noise for Benjamin!
Thank you. Friends, I want to thank you all for coming out to march with us again, all 250,000 of you. Now this week, as you know, we faced attempts by the Metropolitan Police to stop us marching here, to stop us marching to Downing Street, the seat of government. We would not and we will not back down. All of us, friends, have a fundamental right to protest, a fundamental right to march, but today is not about our rights, as important as they are. This is not our central message. We know why we are marching, and we know why we have been marching in our hundreds of thousands for the past 3 months. We march to stop a genocide. We march because right now in Gaza 1.7 million people are displaced, sheltering wherever they can, in the rain, in the ruins of their mosques, their homes, their schools and their hospitals. We march because right now in Gaza, Israeli bulldozers are digging up the corpses of some of the more than 27,000 Palestinians they have killed, refusing even to allow the dead to lie in peace. We are marching because despite Israel now being on trial in the world's highest court for genocide, the crime of crimes, our political leaders, the Sunaks and the Starmers, still seek to shield it from accountability, still endorse the UK selling it weapons to unleash further destruction and slaughter. Shame on them. Friends, we march because instead of taking action to bring aid to the people of Gaza, our government cuts funding to UNRWA, the body that millions of Palestinian refugees rely on for essential supplies and services. And we march because we know that history did not begin on October the 7th. We know that this genocide is built upon the foundations of 75 years of colonisation, ethnic cleansing, military occupation and apartheid, built on a system of racial injustice which says that from the river to the sea, one people, Israeli Jews, have rights and another, Palestinians, have none. Now friends, we have heard the question that our Palestinian and brothers have put to us. The question they have put to the world: what did you do when we were going through a genocide? We march because we know that history will judge those who chose to stand with the oppressor and those like us who choose to stand always with the oppressed. So friends, we do not stop. We never stop. On Wednesday, we need you taking action in your offices, in our workplace day of action. Next Saturday, in the next National Day of Action, we want you out in your local towns and cities, picketing Barclays Bank, and then on February the 17th, we want you back here in London when we will be marching again in the second Global Day of Action for Gaza, where we will be joined by people marching in over 100 cities in more than 60 countries across the world. Friends, remember this: the Palestinian people will rise from the midst of destruction as they have always done. They will finally arrive at their day of liberation, and we will stand with them, shoulder to shoulder, until that day arrives, until a ceasefire is called, until the occupation is ended, until apartheid is dismantled, and until the Palestinian people from the river to the sea are finally free. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! Thank you.
Free, free! Free, free! Raise your flags as high as you can! Thank you so much for being with us today. You know you're going to be back here in 2 weeks. What you're going to do is you're going to go home, you're going to find at least 5 friends, and you're going to bring them back in 2 weeks' time. We need these demonstrations to get bigger and bigger and bigger so that we can show the war criminals in Parliament behind me that they will never speak for the people in Britain. So please, disperse peacefully, disperse in groups, disperse with your friends, take everything with you, make sure you don't lose anything. We will see you in 2 weeks' time, back in central London, and there's many, many more things to be organising in the meantime. Free, free! Free, free! Free, free! In our thousands, in our millions!
So,
in our millions!
So, good afternoon. Good evening to all of you watching. My name is Wendell Daniel.
And from the river to the sea!
Welcome. So, the protest down here in central London is now coming to an end. And it started this morning at 12 p.m. outside of the BBC. So we've now ended, and they reckon about 250,000 people has been down here at this protest. And I'm just about to go home myself, which is really great because I have been out here. It's cold and it's about time I go. But all I can say is thank you very much for watching. It has been great to entertain you guys. And tomorrow I'm not going to be at Speaker's Corner. And I've told you why I'm not going there until further notice. I don't have to go through all of that again. But all I can say, thank you very much for watching. It has been great to entertain you. I don't intend to be live again until, well, doing street stuff, I'm live every day. But I won't be doing any street stuff for at least a week. So I will be back on like they say, on the 17th, doing the National March in 2 weeks' time. And some of you may have watched me doing the Tommy Robinson in Telford last week. I will be going back to I will be going back with Tommy Robinson on the 23rd of March when he is in Oldham. So I'll be covering his usual stuff in Oldham in, what's that, about 2 months' time, whenever it is. So all I can say is thank you very much for watching. We are going now. And those of you who tried to tune in on Wednesday when I was doing the question and answer session, the initial live stream, I had a lot of technical issues. I had to change the live streaming unit and I actually started up an hour and 20 minutes later, but I did do it. So, and I answered all the questions. Unfortunately, Danny Roscoe, didn't get the time to speak to him, nor Victor from Speaker's Corner. But earlier on, we saw the Messiah, that nutcase. He was actually down at the start of the protests by the BBC. But all I can say is thank you very much for watching. As you know, I always get, excuse me, I always get a good spot. And we are shutting down now. So all I can say is thank you very much for watching and goodbye. And if this is the first time you've seen Street Night, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Make sure you also switch on that notification bell. But we're just down the road from Westminster is over there. Just behind us we got the Cenotaph, we got Downing Street. But everyone's now dispersing. If you try to, there's 250,000 people on the streets. Just imagine the logistics. If you try to get into a tube station now, they're all locked down. The nearest tube station you can get into, I say to people, go to St James's Square, St James's Park. That'll be open up. But Westminster, down here, all of those ones will be open up. So goodbye, boosh.